starts on the second page.
Right.
So they can go back to the
Yeah, Laura just reminded me to remind you that as you look at the handouts, the one sheet, the multiple page handout, it's on longer paper. If you start on the second page, that's where the academic affairs budget requests will begin. And I will be somewhat following this list and also displaying it on this, this slideshow. My name's John McKee. I'm the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, and I think maybe the tallest person on campus. And sure. And this is what happens to a tree when an administrator gets a hold of it. And just so you kind of understand, oops. At the top, Laura and Elaine shared with you the vision, mission, and the core values of the college. At the bottom, I refer to program review, where we look at student learning outcomes at the program level and at the general education level. And from those program review documents, the budget process that has been described emerges. And we filter that through, we kind of meet in the middle between the program review process and the overarching direction of the college to come up with hopefully the budget requests that you're going to help us determine. And the theme groups that have been mentioned are really coming at this from the perspective of the top of this diagram, or the top of the tree. And but the program review process really reflects the roots of the tree. And in the middle are the leaves and all of the other parts that reflect a robust tree if we do this well. So this is an exciting time. It's great to be a part of it. And I think David's depiction of a tree is much more beautiful than mine, but this really is what happens when an administrator gets a hold of something like this. So we have, in my area, 3 different groupings. And just so you know, this was done for the first time this year. And I have a whole lot of people that report to me. And I really appreciate that the groups that were put into these different areas went about their work with due diligence, did the best they could, really respected each other as colleagues, had deep and meaningful discussions. But the process is a process, and it's going to improve. And in this big area, there's probably going to be some things that will improve going into next year that as we go through this process, we see that there's some changes that can be made towards that improvement. But we have the instructional and information services piece, which includes Career Link, library, IT, media, the Learning Center, OSET, and the University Center. Just for those of you who may not know, University Center was a part of this process, but it has been realigned within the college to where it now reports directly to the Chancellor. So next year it will be working with the Chancellor for its, Karen will be working with the Chancellor on her budget priorities. And then we have the degree programs, which this year has been divided up among several departments in liberal arts. So we have CT, Voc Tech, Allied Health, Humanities, Social Science, STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, if you don't know that, Business, Culinary and Host, and Liberal Arts. And liberal arts really is a part of every one of those programs, so we treated them as a separate group for the purposes of this process. And then finally outreach, which is Molokai, Lanai, Hana, and Lahaina. So just a couple of comments about instructional and information services and outreach. When you think about instructional and information services, they really are a part of everything we do. They're bigger than just instructional programs. They support the entire campus. So their scope is huge. And when you think about outreach, it's sort of similar, but it's different. And it's different because outreach does everything that a campus does, but it does it at a much smaller scale with much more limited resources. So outreach has student services, it has IT, it has media, has administrative services, and also instructional programs. And so the folks that manage outreach, they wear that college-wide hat all the time that was displayed early on. So these are the requests that came from instructional and administrative services. You can see the descriptions that are that are shared in this document that you have in front of you, but I'm going to talk a little bit about each. And before I go into that, you're going to notice a theme here, and it really aligns well with the Chancellor's theme of trying to make the campus whole. There's a real acknowledgement on the part of the people in all three of these areas that we have some very serious infrastructure needs to be addressed in order for us to serve our students better, and it's going to show up in many of these requests. First is the information tech and media clerical position. This group does not have a permanent clerical person. But in addition to serving clerical duties, this position is responsible for managing the campus help desk and also the Zendesk and email operations, as well as the voice over IP system that we use at the college. So this particular position does a lot, and it's very central to managing a healthy media and IT operation. CareerLink has gone beyond just being a cooperative work education faculty position into a much more comprehensive array of services. And they've been doing a lot over the years, but it's all been funded by grant support except for Julie's position, Julie Patau's position. That's a faculty position. So this is an attempt to try to institutionalize the good work that CareerLink's been involved with. Oh, I'm looking at a list and you're not. Just a second here. Or somehow it went backwards. IT, the webmaster. We do have a webmaster. For many of my first years here, we didn't have one, but our webmaster isn't permanent, and this is an attempt to make that position permanent. And the webmaster supports maintenance of our website, but also servers related to supporting the website, trying to keep everything current. And in this day and age, not having a strong website will hurt the college. Having a strong website will obviously help us in so many different ways. Tech upgrades for all of the campus. During the budget cuts, this is to restore what used to be. The budget had, we used to have a recycling program, or a program where every year a certain number of campus computers were replaced on an ongoing basis. And these are computers that we can't support using the tech fund, the tech fees. Those monies were cut, so this is an attempt to put those dollars back in. I support this because right now, when an area needs new computers, they just come to me and ask for it. There's no budget. We try to scrape things together. Oftentimes we're not able to. That hurts our students, that hurts the college. We need to be more intentional about how we do things in that regard. TLC online tutoring. This will show up in a couple of the requests from my areas, but it's the Brain Fuse program that we've been using has been quite successful for students that use it. It supplements what we can do with real tutors, and we think that it's an important part of our array of helping our students. I think it's in particular useful for outreach, where they can't have access to the TLC on our campus. It helps them build that support on throughout the district. This is TLC in-class tutors. It's primarily focused on supporting math, developmental math and English. We've had great success. We have the highest success rate for developmental English of any campus in the system, and faculty in that area will tell us that tutoring has been a big help for that. It's over 70%. And math has gone from 24% to almost 50%, and we've seen the biggest jump as we've been adding tutors to that program. It's also helped that we've hired more full-time faculty in math. Library circulation support. This is a position that would provide technical expertise to the library, support of the circulation desk, so there's greater access to the circulation than we can currently provide. University Center has been growing. Our University Center is larger than any of the other university centers in the state, and all of the other university centers in the state combined. It's the most successful university center in the system, with nearly 100 graduates annually. We are a hybrid college. We're a community college. We offer a few baccalaureate programs, and I think an important part of that hybridization has been our university center. I think it's a symbiotic relationship that's grown and supports our community quite well. And as we grow farther into the future and that program continues to grow, this position will be very helpful. And then allied health tech support. We've had a person that's been on soft money supporting allied health for the last 10 or so years, has been doing a great job. The money isn't there to continue that position, and this is an attempt, that position's been managed through Allied Health. This is an attempt to do a couple of things, to institutionalize that support and then to move that position into the IT infrastructure so that it's part of the IT team, so they can look for ways with this team member to provide not only support to Allied Health more effectively, but also to support our campus more effectively. I know folks in IT are very concerned about this position going away because they don't know how they can manage to support IT with their current infrastructure. So that's why this is coming from that side of the house. And you'll see it showing up again later when I show the other parts. Finally, library restoration is similar to the piece about the computer replacement or the IT infrastructure restoration. Their budget was cut a couple of years ago, and this is to bring it back to where it was at that point in time. So getting on to the degree program area, humanities or social science clerical. Currently we have one clerical position, Deandra, who's a real trooper, supporting two of our largest departments. And this is an attempt to acknowledge that we cannot survive as a campus with the same level of clerical support that we had when we had 2,600 students. And so this is to create a standalone support person for both of those areas. Sociology faculty position. This is somewhat in response to WASC recommendation that our programs, and I think the recommendations were that we needed to have at least, they encouraged us to have at least 2 faculty members per program. Well, this is a discipline that actually has 0 faculty in it. So this is an attempt to at least get 1 faculty member in a discipline. Allied Health half-time clerical position is again that same theme. The clerical support is just really stretched to the max. There's things that sit on people's desks because the piles are so high they just don't have time to get to the work. That affects all of us. It hurts student learning. If we can improve the support in those areas, it'll help us all. This math lab tutor actually lines up with what you saw previously with the TLC tutors. It's the same request. It's part of it. The other half is English, it will be English tutors that you'll see later. This is the Hawaiian Studies counselor. Kathy already identified all of the areas, and from her perspective, that need greater support in this area. But also, we now have a very fast-growing degree program in Hawaiian Studies, and the potential for even a stronger partnership with our university center, with University of Hawaii universities and Hawaiian Studies, offering a baccalaureate on our campus through the University Center. This position could be very helpful towards so many of those ends. Business tech faculty position. This is again in response to that WASC recommendation. It's our second largest degree, major to liberal arts. Has 1 faculty position. So this is an attempt to address that problem by adding a second. Business tech. Oh, I'm sorry. Take all that back. We actually are currently recruiting for the business faculty member. That made it through the last process. This is business tech, which is a very large program with around 180 majors that has only one faculty member. This is an attempt to make that program whole by getting a second faculty position. And you know, for those of you that don't work with academic programs, let me kind of explain to you why this is important. A degree program needs to really be understanding data related to the program, needs to be very engaged with its community of interest. Those of you that were at the presentation at Senate by the host advisory committee saw a great example of a very engaged advisory committee. Host isn't the only program that has that, but the programs that have a couple of faculty members working in them have a far greater opportunity to engage those communities than when it's 1 faculty member managing all the lectures, doing all the curriculum changes, doing all of the other things that are related to having healthy programs. So And then English in-class tutors. This is the other half of the TLC request that you've seen already. But just coming from a different part of the college, you might say that this request has been triangulated in terms of how important it is to the college. Sustainable Science Management program. This is one of our baccalaureate programs. And those of you who don't, this is so great to see so many people in the room at one time. And I know that each of us vice chancellors were given 10 minutes. And of course, because there's so many of you here, we can't stop talking in 10 minutes. So I'm going to keep talking a little bit more. But our Applied Business and Information Technology program is going to be going up for it to be approved as an established program probably next month. And indications we're getting from the Board of Regents are very positive that it will be approved. And it has currently 44 majors. Sustainable Science Management is our newest program, and it's the only baccalaureate program that only has one faculty member in it. And it's our fastest growing program. And I think it has somewhere between 50, every time I throw a number out, Tim corrects me that it's even higher than that. So I'm going to say between and between. It's 50 to 60 majors. Tim is worried about not just the last 2 years, but all 4 years of the program, curriculum changes, helping students get through the program successfully. It would be a great assist to him to have a second faculty position. Auto body, band B, this is someone to help with the tool room, kind of supporting the labs there to kind of make things, help instructors so that when the instructors can focus on the teaching that happens all the time in those hands-on programs. This is that same position, the health IT support position is the same position that came from the other area. It's, so this, you could say, has been triangulated also. So it is important to the campus. We had a computer lab manager in Kalama for that computer lab. That position was swept. We no longer have that position again. It was swept because it remained vacant for over 2 years. And this is an attempt to restore that position. English faculty position and ag faculty position. And English does a lot with, in my opinion, English and math are two areas that deserve a lot of support because they affect every program. And so, and then finally the ag position is, Ann's by herself, Senate. I mean, she's got William and Mock helping her, but she's the only faculty position in the program. And again, this is in response to the WASC recommendation to make our programs more whole. Finally, outreach. And just as you think about outreach, just remember, outreach does everything. They're little they're subcultures of the entire campus. They do a little bit of everything. And so there's been, since I've been here, an attempt on a part of outreach, and I think also from the counseling, some members of the counseling department, to increase the academic advising to outreach. And so this would be a position that would support, I just realized 3 sites Maui, that doesn't make sense. Well, then the two Maui Island sites, and then, oh, I see, and 3 sites in Lanai, okay. Anyway, it's Maui Island and Lanai and Molokai. And isn't that correct, Kelly? No, not Molokai. Okay. Oh, yeah, Susan, right. And Susan currently actually does this. She travels frequently over to Lanai. But Molokai is, no, I'm back with it. I flew in from Baltimore late yesterday, so I'm a little bit jet lagged. But the, Molokai has grown to the extent that it's really a separate campus, almost. It's not considered a campus, but it serves in that capacity. And they have their own counselor, but because the other outreach sites don't have that support, Susan has to travel to other outreach sites to provide that service, mostly Lanai. I know Andy Mickey would go to Hana on a regular basis. I don't know who's doing that now, but this is to kind of increase the counseling, the advising support to those areas. Hana, Brenda, has 1 employee, Brenda Pua, and this is, my opinion, a safety concern. They have 1 person, and they're open oftentimes 50, 60 hours a week, and that's not fair to Brenda. This would be to create a position that can actually help her keep that center open so she doesn't have to be there all of the time. The position had been in the budget. We're trying to restore it. It was swept during previous budget attempts that weren't quite so participatory. Lanai maintenance and janitorial support, that's contracted. And then a math faculty position for Molokai, and I left one off, it looks like, and that would be the Hawaiian Studies position for Molokai as well. You guys have about 250 students right now? About 200, but you've gone up as high as 250. And so, they offer enough sections in both math and English to justify a full-time faculty position. It would be a lecturer replacement sort of a thing, so we wouldn't have to pay for the whole cost of the position. So anyway, those are the priorities for my area. And I just want to end by saying that I had a professor in college that gave me advice for how a community should look, and he told me there's two different tenets for a successful community. One is, he would call it the maturity test. One is you can't win them all. You're going to bat around 300 if you're doing really well. Most of the time you don't get your way, but it's important to participate, because if you don't participate, you're never going to get your way. And the other thing is that the Arctic community is the act of compromise. So as you work through these things, it's a good idea sometimes to be able to step back from your positions and compromise or meet somebody halfway in order to have success. Anyway, congratulations, and it's great to see this turnout. I missed a position. We also have, after the SSM faculty position, I guess it was on the list, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, it's there, okay. The sustainability construction tech faculty position, and that's again one of those positions that we have one person, we used to have two. It's hard to run a program that has robust student counts with just one person, and this is an attempt to address that need. Mahalo.